Who is Simon Adingra? Let's talk about this dude because I think he's really talented and going places. Welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. So Simon Adingra just won the Africa Cup of Nations with the Côte d'Ivoire. He was named the young player of the tournament and man of the match in the final. So he showed up at the tournament with a slight hamstring injury, was not able to play in the first two games, got a few minutes against Equatorial Guinea in the last group stage match where the Ivory Coast thought they were done. Now, having only won one match and collected 3 points in the group stage, they needed a bunch of results to go their way to be able to get to the knockout round as a third place team. And once they did, they didn't turn back. But Adingra had a crucial role to play in 4 of the 5 goals they scored in the knockout round. Now, his first goal involvement, it's not really a goal contribution because it's not a goal or an assist, but in the round of 16 against Senegal with the Ivory Coast 1-0 down, he brings down a ball on the sideline, does very well to get it into Sébastien Haller, who would then feed Nicolas Pepe, who would get brought down. Kessie scores the penalty, it goes 1-1, and the Ivory Coast win on penalty shootout in the end. But he really announced himself against Mali. Again, with the Ivory Coast down 1-0, he comes on in the 86th minute and sets up and scores the equalizing goal right before stoppage time. Another young talent for the Ivorians, Oumar Diakité, would get the winner at the very end of extra time. So they get to the semifinal, they beat the Congo, and then in the final, Adingra starts and he terrorized Ola Aina. I mean, the Nigeria Nottingham Forest defender had no answers for Adingra all day long. Adingra has 2 assists, one from a corner, and then skinning Aina on the left side over and over in the second half, setting up Haller for the game winner, and now he's a hero. And he is now an absolute star in his home country. So Simon Adingra is a winger. He seems very comfortable on both sides, so it'll be interesting to see where he really settles over the course of his career. He reminds me a lot of a young Salomon Kalou, another one of his countrymen. He's not insanely fast, he is athletic, but what he likes to do is bring players in, bait them into a tackle, and skip past them. He's not so much of a stop-and-go winger or someone who relies just on sheer pace. What he is very intelligent and efficient, and he comes up with numbers everywhere he's been. This season, the 2023-24 season, he has contributed 7 goals and 3 assists in 24 league and cup appearances. And this is his first season in English football, so that's a pretty good return for a 22-year-old. Now, Brighton signed him for only £6 million back in June of 2022. According to Transfermarkt, he's already worth about $25 million, so that's another score for Brighton. So when they brought him in 2022, they immediately shipped him out on loan to their sister club Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium, and he did fantastic there. Not the only player Brighton have sent there to develop. Kairo Matoma is one, Dennis Undav is another, and then there's Victor Boniface, who has nothing to do with Brighton, but he was at Union Saint-Gilloise last season and is now crushing it in the Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen. So yeah, that club seems like a pretty good stepping stone. But back to Adingra, when he was at Union Saint-Gilloise, he showed that he was ready for more. He had 11 goals and 9 assists in 30 appearances in the league, and then overall in all competitions had 15 goals and 15 assists in 49 appearances. Really good for a 21-year-old who had just recently come to Europe. Now, if we go back a little further, Simon Adingra is from Yamoussoukro in the Ivory Coast, and when he was a teenager, he was playing in Ghana and was seen by scouts from the Right to Dream Academy. Now, Simon Adingra is probably the biggest name to come out of the academy, next to other Premier League and African star Mohamed Kudus, who is having a fantastic season at West Ham. So this academy seems to get things right. Anyway, he came into the academy, and his footballing potential was not questioned at all. But what impressed people the most was his mentality and maturity. The academy's head of football, Didi Dramani, said he's one of the fastest integrating players we had in our environment. He was quick in understanding our style of play. He was killing everyone with his talent. Now, keep in mind, the official Western language in the Ivory Coast is French. In Ghana, it's English. So he actually had to learn English as a teenager, and he did that very quickly. Another sign of just how smart, mature, and mentally capable he really is at the high level. So after 2 years in the academy, he was sent to Danish club Nordsjælland. Now, what's interesting here is the Right to Dream Academy actually owns Nordsjælland. They have since 2015. So this is a great conveyor belt for these young players that they have to get some exposure in European football. Now, he played with their under-19s and reserves when he first arrived, and then in his first training session with the first team, he breaks his arm. Now, think of how difficult this would be for a young teenage player who has just come from West Africa, is now in Scandinavia, and has broken his arm. I mean, this is a tough thing to come back from, but he did without any issues. And over 2 seasons, he went on to score 12 goals, register 4 assists, and catch the attention of Brighton. So after lighting it up in Denmark and then in Belgium, he is doing it in the Premier League and also on the international stage. You have to keep an eye on this guy. He is incredibly talented, really fun to watch, and I'm hoping the best for him. We'll see. Best of luck to Simon Adingra. I'm Sebastian North. This is Campfire Football. Take it easy.